Today, we are going to dive into a story about survival. A desperate fight for freedom against what seems like impossible odds. But it's also a warning. A story about how that very same search for freedom can lead down a path to absolute total damnation. See, for 100 years, the people in our story thought they knew their enemy. They were these giant, mindless monsters that ate people. Simple, right? But the reality, the truth of who and what they were really fighting, was about to unravel their entire world. All right, so our story starts on this island, Paradis. And what's left of humanity here? Well, they're living in what you could call a gilded cage. Three enormous concentric walls, Maria, Rose, and Sina. These aren't just for decoration. They are literally the only thing standing between them and the giant man-eating titans roaming the outside world. And you know what? For 100 years, this actually worked. It was a weird, caged kind of peace, but it was peace nonetheless. That is, until the year 845. Out of nowhere, this impossibly huge titan, bigger than the wall itself, just appears. They call it the Colossal Titan. And with one single kick, it shatters Wall Maria, and the Age of Terror begins all over again. Right in the middle of all this chaos is a young boy, Aaron Yeager. He's just watching, totally helpless, trapped. He can only look on as a smiling titan pulls his own mother from the rubble of their house and eats her alive. This one moment, this single horrific image, it changes absolutely everything. And that vow, that becomes his entire reason for being. It's not about survival anymore. It's about complete and total annihilation. And this promise, born from such an awful tragedy, is going to drive him down a path that is darker than anyone could ever imagine. So, fast forward a few years. Aaron is now a soldier, and he's fueled by that same burning hatred. But during one desperate battle, he gets swallowed whole by a titan. It looks like it's over, that his vow died with him. But then, something completely impossible happens. Suddenly, a brand new, ferocious titan just appears on the battlefield. But this one, it only attacks the other titans. And when it finally collapses, steaming and spent, who crawls out of its neck? None other than Aaron Yeager. He has the very power he swore to destroy. He can become a titan. So this kid becomes humanity's ultimate double-edged sword. I mean, he's a monster, yeah, but he's their monster. And he uses this insane new power to lift a giant boulder, plug the hole in the wall, and give humanity its first real win in over a century. He becomes their only hope. Now, Aaron's father had always told him that all the answers they were looking for were in the basement of their old house, which is now deep inside Titan territory. After years and years of just brutal fighting, Aaron and his friends finally make it back, and they unlock a secret that's going to completely rewrite their entire reality. Tucked away in his father's old journals, they find the unbelievable truth. They are not the last of humanity, not even close. There's an entire world out there beyond their island, a world with plains and cities and a deep, burning hatred for the people of Paradis. And this, right here, is where the entire story just flips on its head. The people inside the walls, they're a race called Eldians, the only people on Earth who can turn into titans. And those mindless monsters they've been fighting for a century, those were their own people. Eldians who were exiled from the outside world and turned into weapons by this enemy nation called Marley. Their war was never against monsters. It was against the rest of humanity. You can imagine, this revelation completely breaks Aaron. He realizes this cycle of hatred will never, ever end. The world will always see his people as devils that need to be wiped out. So he decides to embrace the part they've written for him. He'll become the monster. He puts his whole master plan in motion to seize the ultimate power, the power of the founding Titan, which can control every other Titan. He completely rejects any chance for peace, convinced that the only way to get freedom for his people is to take it away from literally everyone else on Earth. And this is his final solution. It turns out the very walls that protected them were made from millions of dormant colossal titans. Aaron's plan is to wake them up, all of them, and command them to just march across the globe, destroying everything and everyone outside their island. The scale of this is just apocalyptic. It's a wall of steam and death set to erase civilization. The same little boy who watched his mom get eaten by one titan has now become the leader of millions, about to commit global genocide just to protect his home. So what Aaron does, it forces his own friends, the very people he's doing all of this for, into this impossible, horrible position. They just can't stand by and let him destroy the entire world. His best friends, Armin and Mikasa, they actually form an alliance with the surviving soldiers from Marley, their sworn enemies, to do the unthinkable. They have to stop Aaron. Their friend, their brother, their symbol of hope, he's now become the world's greatest threat. But they're too late to stop a catastrophe on a scale that's just hard to even comprehend. By the time they finally catch up to him, the March of the Titans has already wiped out 80% of the world's population. Billions of people are gone. The final fight isn't about strategy, it's just pure heartbreak. To stop the rumbling, Mikasa, the person who loved him more than anyone, has to enter the mouth of his giant Titan form, and she delivers the killing blow, ending his reign of terror with a final kiss goodbye. But in death, Eren accomplishes something no one thought was even possible. His horrific act somehow shatters the 2,000-year-old curse of the Titans. The power just vanishes from the world. Eldians can no longer turn into monsters. The cycle is finally, truly broken, but the price was an ocean of blood. So in the end, Eren Yeager gave his friends a world without Titans. But he did it by becoming the greatest monster history has ever or will ever know. And the story leaves us wrestling with this devastating question. When you're trapped in a cycle of hate, is total destruction really the only path to freedom?